and just normally speaking out. And I was recently interviewed by actually a Chinese language newspaper. The question to me was, how do we reach out to the mainstream so that they knew the way we think and what we're saying? I said, if you only print in Chinese, people can't read, except those who read Chinese, and there are a lot of second generation immigrant children can't read Chinese or whatever language they come from. So it should be in English or French. Mm-hmm. So therefore, I told them, I said, you have to publish in, well, that was a Toronto-based paper. I said, publish in English and get it out there so that people can read, and or take over the major media. Mm-hmm. That's the other route, right?
Did I hear the words take over?
Why don't we get someone to buy the Toronto Star?
So how do we buy the Toronto Star?
Yeah. And the Globe.
So are there any investors in the room? Anyway, okay, so what were some of the early challenges that you faced in your career as, let's say, a woman and as an Asian Canadian? I know that those are only two names or categories, markers that we could use to describe you and other people as well. What are the categories that, let's say, people are, what are the categories under which people are experiencing challenges today, let's say?
Are you asking about me or other people?
I'm asking about you and what you see as still the categories under which people face challenges today.
Well, I think let's talk about Asians first. Mm-hmm. Those of Asian heritage. We're too quiet. We need to speak up more, and we need to do more of this. Really express our views, but it's very important to keep it within the context of Canada. If you are Chinese Canadian, don't talk about China. We're talking about Chinese Canadians. Or you are from India, talk about Indo-Canadians, because we have to keep it within the context. Then people are listening. If all of a sudden you go off and talk about China, then that's a totally different subject, right? Mm-hmm. But I find that as the first Asian in the Senate, mm-hmm. 13 years ago, can you imagine? Mm-hmm. 13 years. It was difficult. Mm-hmm. It was difficult because I am pretty sure, because nobody ever said that, I am pretty sure that some of the senators there, first of all, never mind, some of them don't really believe, especially the older white men, they don't really believe women belong there. But Asian women, I mean, really, where do you come from, And some of them just sort of completely ignore me. I said, well, they probably think I have 3 eyes, but that's okay, I ignore them too. So it's, yes, as the first, it's always a struggle. But then I'm a strong person. So I survived. And, it's you can say, yes, it's hard for women to get ahead, but it's harder for women who are of ethnic minorities to get ahead. It is much harder. Especially those who don't want to be totally whitewashed, those like me who are proud of my heritage. I'm extremely proud of my heritage. And we should all be.
Awesome. Okay, and the last question. Actually, this is a question that is for those of you who are in the audience who are students or who are, let's say, recent graduates of the university, who are early in their careers. Do you have any advice for people who want to carry the struggle on beyond campuses? Or in
well, you know what? You can express yourself in any career, any kind of career. And I actually just a week ago, I spoke to the Asia Pacific Club at the University of Toronto, and they wanted career advice. So what I did was, and maybe I should send all that over to you, you know, I had a handout to the students, how they can get into our public service. That is a way in, because then you can influence the way the public service works and our foreign policy. And a lot of people in universities don't realize that. Only those who go into university in Ottawa realize the opportunities. There are a lot of opportunities out there. And, you know, that's a way in, one of the many ways. But you can influence the policy, the public policy of the country that way. Of course, aside from running for public office.
Mm-hmm. So public office, media takeover, I think we've got
yes.
a few rich things on the table.